This has been a long time coming. We've been working with Heavenly Gelato, doing business as Olympic Mountain Ice Cream, and they were going to go after some CERB funding if you approve this resolution I have for you today. They've been working frantically on getting cost estimates, engineering, all kinds of supplies and items related to the tenant improvement on the building located at 130 West Corporate. And that's one of the buildings purchased from Bob Williams. So I can read this resolution if you so desire.
Yes, please.
This is part of the application to CERB. It's one of the first pieces. So in order for me to go forward and sign the documents, this piece has to happen. So it's resolution 24-01, which means it's the first of this year.
Yes.
A resolution of the Port of Shelton Commission authorizing submission of an application to the Community Economic Revitalization Board, CERB, in the approximate loan amount of $1,750,000 for the committed private partner program, and authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement for such funding, whereas CERB awards loans and grants to help finance the construction of public facility projects necessitated by private sector development for the purpose of strengthening the economies of areas with below average growth, and to provide incentives for businesses which expand employment opportunities, particularly for economically disadvantaged residents. And whereas the Port of Shelton desires to fund a project consistent with the purposes of CERB, and whereas Heavenly Gelato, Inc., DBA, Olympic Mountain Ice Cream, intends to substantially increase its operations and employment numbers at the Port of Shelton, and whereas the CERB project represents a commitment of private resources toward enhancing the vitality of the area and expansion of economic and employment opportunities of the Port of Shelton, together with increased tax revenues, and whereas in the event the application for CERB funding is approved and accepted, the Port of Shelton will comply with all applicable federal and state requirements in regard to environmental impact of the project. And whereas the Port of Shelton CERB project will not result in the transfer or relocation of jobs from one part of the state of Washington to another. And whereas the Commission of the Port of Shelton finds and determines that an application should be submitted to appropriate agencies for consideration of funding the CERB project for and on behalf of Port of Shelton, and that such submission will promote economic development within the Port of Shelton. Now therefore be it resolved by the Port of Shelton Commission as follows. 1, that the executive director or her designee is hereby authorized to submit an application to the CERB board for and on behalf of the Port of Shelton for CERB funding in the approximate loan amount of $1.75 million for the CERB project. And 2, that the executive director is hereby further authorized to provide such additional information as may be necessary to secure approval of such application. And 3, that in the event such application is approved, the executive director is authorized to enter into an agreement for such funding. And 4, a copy of this resolution shall be submitted with the CERB application. And 5, this resolution is effective immediately upon passage and signatures hereto adopted by the Port of Shelton Commission at a regular meeting thereof held this 5th day of March 2024.
How exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming, and we haven't been able to say anything about it because of the way of negotiations and what have you. But I really want to brag on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's amazing that you're an upcoming company. It's been established here in Mason County, and you're growing, and it's wonderful to see it happen right here in
Yeah.
downtown Shelton.
It's nice that we can stick
Central Mason
to
County.
our locale.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
we're
great
all
that you're
started.
here, you're employing local people,
Mhm.
and it's just out
It's
of this
awesome.
world as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for for having the intestinal fortitude to stand up and do it, because I know what it is
The
to
guts,
establish a new
yeah.
business.
It's a big
And
decision.
it's a
It
big
is.
decision, and it's a heck of a lot of money, and a big obligation to
Yep.
step into.
Yeah, we're ready.
Thank you for that challenge.
Well, I'm thrilled to make a motion to accept the Port of Shelton Commission Resolution 24-01.
That's it.
That's all we can do with that.
I will second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve Port of Shelton Resolution 2401. Is there any further discussion? Once again, I'm just happy as a clam to have you guys signing this lease,
We are too.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you,
great.
guys.
to sign this in your behalf.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Enthusiastically aye.